Welcome back to another episode of the Good Life Visual Audio Podcast. I'm C Mouzon. I got Kobi here with me. Say what's up, Kobi.
What up, dude? Shout out Detroit,
Every-
second worst city in America.
We've come to that conclusion. Second worst city. However, we shout them out at the beginning of every single episode just
Because we love
because
them. We love them. We love Detroit. We love
because
Detroit.
because Kobi here has a love affair with Mr. Jalen Rose,
That's
probably.
my guy.
That's really why. But either way, guys, we're back for another episode. Again, feel free to share this, hit that like button, give us leave a comment, leave a review, something that's going to be able to get this for more people to be able to see it, because we got another good episode for you today. It's episode 88, the receiver episode. Whatever that means, right? Welcome to
Come
football
on,
season.
Marvin Harrison.
Welcome. Shout him out.
88 on the Cowboys. I forget his name right now. But the playmaker. All right. You got CD Lamb. All right. All the great receivers were 88s.
I got no reference. I got no historical reference.
We do not support head injuries in the NFL, by the way. Just know our heart goes out to Tua and all the foolishness going on over there. But at the end of the day, we're all complacent because we're all going to at least play fantasy or cheer or know somebody that does or make a little money from it or something. Something's going to show up,
Not I, said the cat. Not I, right? Like, I don't participate in any of it, and we do support.
Right? Super Bowl Sunday?
Maybe. I was just telling my wife this, that I don't remember what I did last year for the Super Bowl, which means I don't think I did anything. I think it was just another day.
I hardly remember what I do for Christmas, but I participate. I participate. Yeah. Fair enough.
I might participate if somebody invites, if there's a party, but I'm not going out of my way. I'm not throwing the party. That's not going to be it. If I get an invite, there's some good food there. It's a good people. You might see me on Super Bowl Sunday.
But that's all right. All right, fair enough, Mr. I refrain from all things societal, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, I did that for a while, but I decided it was a great opportunity to connect with people, to be a man of the people. So, I participate. I actually want invited too. I'm definitely not, I might throw it to bring people together, but it's not for the NFL. That's all I'm saying. Tisk kiss NFL. Take care of your people.
Yeah, take care of your people. Head injuries are scary. That stuff is scary. You're playing with people's lives. That's somebody's life.
Yeah. So, and the fact that they lied about it for so many years, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, not this show. This show.
No.
But what are we talking about today, man?
Today, we're talking about the thesis of the Good Life show moving forward. I'm very excited for this episode. It's actually one where we're going to dive in a little deep, and you're actually going to watch the process of the composition of the thesis of the show moving forward. And it's actually kind of interesting. Some might say it's almost a flip, right? A flip on its head of the way we've been packaging the message moving forward. But I, sir, will say it's actually an evolution.
Absolutely. It's an evolution. I think just to give some of the people listening some context, obviously, Kobi and I take this podcast extremely serious because we know it's adding great value and we want to be able to continue to add value. So we're always behind the scenes. You guys may or may not know this. Behind the scenes, we meet and we plan and then we talk and we communicate about what the show should be and if people are getting value and what we want to see happen in the show. We actually take time and energy to actually craft something that we think will value you and benefit you. So this came on the back of a conversation we were just having a couple days ago, and we were talking about how to continue to improve the show. And whenever we talk about continuing to improve what we're doing, and this is just a little insight on our process, whenever we're talking about improving, we always start with the thesis of like, well, let's go back to square one. Like, what are we trying to do? Whom are we trying to serve? Who do we talk to? who can get the most out of our message, and what are their problems, what are they dealing with, what are we seeing. That becomes like kind of the foundation of our conversation. And could be, you can jump in on this one. Like when we started to go down this path and have the conversation about really just clarifying who's really getting the most value from this and who we want to see continue to get value from it, it opened up the door to thinking that, like, man, people are at a certain spot in their life where they are good, right? We're there, and that's where we're kind of turning this on its head, because the show is called The Good Life. And we've talked a lot about getting to, right, the good life, the place of health and having great health and great wealth and great relationships, putting your mindset in the right place, having peace, right? All those things that get you to the good life. We've talked about it. But really, what we started to decide and kind of open up was, man, some people are living a good life, so to speak. But are they living a great life? Are they living a life that's actually the most fulfilling for them and doing and designing it in the way that they want it? Or is it just good? Is it just okay? And so when we kind of got to this point in our conversation off camera, it was like this breakthrough moment for us. And I think you had taken some other stuff from it too, right, man?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is, if I may use a conversation I hear quite a bit from the health side of things. I've talked to people a lot, and when you start talking about health, one of the first things you hear is, "I'm doing okay.
Hmm.
Right? I don't eat that bad. Right? I work out. I try to move. Right? So it's this idea of I'm okay. I'm good.
Hmm.
Right? I'm not horrible. I'm not the worst. All right?
It's
But
exactly the same on the money side, bro. It's the exact same
that's
thing. But
what you're
go ahead.
hearing.
The exact same thing. Like, I got some in my 401k. I got some a little in savings. I'm not doing that bad. I mean, I got a little debt. I got a little credit card debt, but it's manageable. I'm good. Same exact thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So that right there, Ash, make sure you clip that, because that right there sums up. It seems to sums up both sides. Definitely sums up this side. Well, a lot of people are good. They don't have cancer, right?
Right.
They
Right.
don't have, like, they're not 100 pounds overweight. It might have a little, like, 5, 25. It's not crazy, right? And I think sometimes, I forget what the saying is, but good might be the enemy of great,
Yep.
something like that.
That is the saying.
Oh, look at that. Nailed it
Yep.
on the head.
Good job. Good job. No, great job.
Great job,
Great
sir.
job.
Great job. So, and it kind of brings us to this conversation of, like, well, maybe what we're really talking about is not good, right? But we're actually talking about living the life that you originally set out to live. Like,
Mm,
if you were to let your imagination loose, if you were to be free of all constraints, if you were to let go of all limiting beliefs, and you sat down with a childlike imagination and said to yourself, you could draw anything, write anything on the page, and whatever you can conceive of, you can have. What would that be like? Would
mm.
you just say, "Oh, I want a little bit of money," right? A little bit of debt is not, but not bad. A little bit of high blood pressure. That's okay. Yeah, what? A couple of pounds. I'm good. I'm fine. Right. So what? So what if I can't walk up the stairs without getting out of breath? At least I can walk. Right. All right. I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. Yeah. I don't eat the best, but I eat good.
It,
Right. In multiple ways.
the word that keeps coming to mind is comfortable. I'm comfortable.
That's right.
I'm comfortable. Like I don't overdo it. I don't
Right.
overwork out. I don't overeat. I'm comfortable.
I'm good. Right. What do I need a coach for? I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. Right. What is this? Right. So is that what that kid does, sitting there with the crayon, with the blank page, and has been told that anything you can conceive of, you can have? Is that what that kid would dream up?
Absolutely not.
When I ask myself this, I'm like, no, that's not. So at what points, what has happened in life that has like limited us, that has made us small, that has introduced constraints, that has limited our imagination and actually shrunk our expectations, so that we limit what we expect, so that we're not disappointed.
That's it. That's, I mean, you can let that sit because that is the answer, right? We've limited our expectations because we have this fear of failure, fear of letting yourself down, letting other people down, doing the thing that is socially acceptable, or doing the thing that like is acceptable in your family, even if it's not what you want deep down. We've learned how to suppress those things from the fear of judgment, fear of being an outcast, fear of all these things. These are just fears that we shape our lives around and mold our lives around, and because of that, there's so many people that are just comfortable. They're just in the middle of the road. They don't experience great joy and great emotions. They're not always down. People have it worse than them. They're just kind of hanging out in the middle. And us having this conversation off camera and now on camera, right? Like us talking about this, hopefully it resonates, because there's a lot of people. This is what we figured out. There was a lot of people that we're talking to that are living this life, that are saying these things, that are just living life in the middle. And it is good, but it's not great. And it's not great. And you maybe are feeling some of that quiet desperation of like, if I could just get out of this job, or if I could just get out of this relationship, if I could just fix my health, or if I could just fix this money issue, or if there's just something that could change,
Yeah.
that's what people are feeling. We know that that's the issue. And we're trying to come give you solutions and talk about how to get from that good space to the great space, right?
Yes, absolutely. And as you're talking, man, I'm imagining Nancy. Imagining Norman, right? Who's normal and lives in no man's land.
Normal
And
Norman that lives in no man's land.
right. And I saw this thing on social media the other day that was like, man, I'm 30. It was by a lady that I posted. She said, I'm 35 at this point. I'm just looking for a man that would come home at night.
The expectation.
Expectation just dropped.
It's so
Right.
low. So
It's
low.
dropped. I'm 29. I'm not making 30 under 30. You might as well just, let's pack it up, boys. Let's pack it up. 30 under, not happening. Right. I'm 30. I'm 35. Listen, just, or 36. Just, I'll take that one. Just give me that one. Somebody that'll come to bed at night. It's all good. All right. and
Settling.
I say this, it's kind of funny, but I think in a way, is there a way to acknowledge what has happened, but still dream big? Right? Is it because you didn't hit 10 million by the time you were 32, or let's say 30? A lot of people have a trouble with 30, right? I have a lot of friends who are hitting 30 right now, and they're having a lot of mental issues, right? I don't have too many friends that are like 40. I don't know what that is like yet, but I have a lot of friends that are hitting 30, or hitting even worse, 31. Oh Lord, right? They're even worse, and they're like, man, this, I can't even pretend anymore. I used to be able to put, I used to be able to put, I might be able to, I'm 29 and a half. Nah, man, you 31. Like, there's not, now you're straight up lying. There's no longer a white lie. Right.
Right.
So when you hit that point where it kind of feels like, I don't know, you can speak on this a little bit, but for a lot of folks I talk to, I know it kind of feels like, oh man, things got real. I didn't reach the places I wanted to reach. How can I possibly, keep dreaming big? Or how can I? And so you strategically, I see people strategically dampen that. And then by the time it's like 32, 36, 40, it's like it seems to get, and I actually, it's funny. I actually skipped that, and I do talk to a couple of like 40, mid 40s
Mhm.
that now it's like it's like almost frantic. They're either frantic, like
Mhm.
they're really going like, oh man, like
Right.
what did
Running
I
out of
do with
time.
myself? Right.
Yeah.
What did I do with myself? Right. All I, yeah, I have a kid or two, but like, is that all I did? It's
Right.
kind of like the spirit of like, is that it?
Right. Right. I mean, I feel like that's where midlife crises come from.
Mm,
That's I don't know, and I'm not, and maybe somebody that's listening can help us outside of the US if that is an actual thing. Like in other cultures and other countries, and is a midlife crisis a thing when people hit their mid 40s or right, whatever that time is? Do they really freak out in other countries? Do they really have to go, backpacking or go extreme sailing or buy that Corvette or leave their spouse or right? Like, is that a thing or is that our culture? Because I have a feeling that's our culture because we settle into these things that are not us. We settle into these lifestyles. We settle into these careers. We settle into this thing we believe is normal in society, and it doesn't necessarily fulfill us in the ways that we need to be fulfilled as a human being, to like actually fill our soul, like our spirit man, right? And so we get to that 39, 40, or whatever year, if it could be 30s, right? I'm closer to 40 than I am 30, right? I'm turning 37 this year, right? So, right, closer to that side, but it happens in all ages, in all spans. There's this change or something that's a bit different, but is it because you feel like you haven't been living your authentic life, the life that you truly want? So you get to a place where you're like, nah, this is too much. I want to go, I want to go backpacking right across the Alps. I don't know. Right. You just come up with things. Or if you go to actually going to living your authentic self and true self consistently, then you get to know more of who you are at 40, or you know more of who you are at 30. Whenever those transition years come, you're not nervous about it because you know yourself. You're walking along the path with you. You don't have that high expectation of what you should have been doing or where you should be at. Again, name of the episode is why you're bored with your life. It's these are the things when we start living these quiet lives of desperation, when we start not living life in the ways that we want, we start to experience some of these things emotionally that we're seeing, right? We talked about some of these things, right? Some of these, like, anxiety, some of these health things, whether it be mental health, physical health, right?
right,
This,
right.
these anxieties, this burnout, right? Like what are some of the other things I know you've been seeing or we've been seeing out there?
Yeah, yeah. Well, bro, I actually want to, shift the conversation a little bit in the sense from like from kind of a higher level of looking at when you were talking, I noticed, or when I was talking, I noticed a lot of shoulds, right? And what
Mm,
we're essentially talking about is a sense of happiness. And one quote I heard before that really resonated with me. It's like it's the delta change or the difference between what we think should be and what actually is. All right. And
mm,
that is where our sense of happiness lies, right? If you're expecting a check for $20 and you get a check for 20,000, oh, you're over the moon. Wait, what? You're over the moon.
right.
But if you're expecting a check for 20,000 and you get 10,000, you're like, wait, what happened? Right. So, or if you're expecting, double that, whatever, 40,000, you get 20,000,
Hmm.
got the same amount, but your sense of happiness is very different. Now, in looking at our lives currently, I think a lot of people, myself included, we live in our heads in the sense of we don't really know what we want, so we adopt narratives as to what things should be like,
Mm,
right? And when those things aren't like that, we one get confused and then two disappointed in ourselves and in society as a whole. All right. So this whole you can equate it to age. You can equate it to whatever you want to equate it to. right? I remember distinctly, man, standing at my college graduation, kind of being like, huh, I thought this would feel a little different. Like I'm excited, I'm proud, I'm etc. But like I was looking for something that told me that, oh, okay, yeah, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Hmm.
Right. I was looking for something like universe confirm that this is what it should look like. Right. So from that as well. So the should, right? The comparison of what we think should be versus what actually is, but also our outlook on things. And before we even get into some of the things of like health and wealth, which I think are the two restrictive things in terms of living our most abundant life, I think another one is just honestly just our outlook,
Hmm.
right? So two people could look at the same thing and have a very different outlook. In fact, I saw on social media, and I know I'm referencing social media quite a bit today, but we spent a lot of time on it. But where it was, the two people sitting on two sides of the bus or whatever. One is looking out at a sunny day, one is looking out at a cloudy day, and they have the same thought process written over their head. And it's like, Ash, if you find this, feel free to insert this. But one is looking out and it's a great sunny day, and it's like, I'm going to work. And the other one's
Right.
looking out and the bright sunny day is like, oh, I'm going to work.
Right.
All right. Same situation, totally different outlook. All right. So that came to mind as well. But to our point and to our thesis, I think the two things that are most determinative of us being able to live an abundant life, besides our outlook and our comparison of like others, etc., is our health and our resources. All right. Money doesn't make you happy, but it sure a lot makes life a lot easier, right?
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
I would say health directly can make you happy, actually, right? Whether either it's your mental health, emotional health, your physical health, because it's one of the few things. It's one of the few things money can't buy, and when your health is not right, everything is off.
That's right.
Everything is off. How you feel, it takes a great. That's why we respect people so much who have something going on with their health and they're still able to maintain a certain outlook. I think of motivational speakers I've seen who have gotten into car accidents or whatever, and they're very limited in terms of their health, but their outlook is amazing. We're super inspired as a human race by those people because that's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
All right. But to our point and to our thesis today, if we one of part of the reason why I think it's we focus on health and wealth, not just because it's what we do, but to me, I think it's the two biggest, it's the two most encompassing things of allowing us to live and the life that we actually would draw on paper if we would let our imagination loose, or if we let
Mm.
go of limiting beliefs, or if we let go of fear of failing, fear of looking bad, fear of being disappointed, fear of doing the wrong things, or fear of being in the wrong. Right? If we let go of those things, the life that we would actually choose to live,
Yeah.
heavily influenced by our level of health and wealth.
Yeah. I believe so too, completely. Hence why we do the show, guys, right? Because these two areas around the topic surrounding health and wealth, um, key drivers, right? Key drivers in your success. And so just us being able to have the conversation, us just being able to talk about it and be able to pinpoint, right, from both of our sides, from, could be on the health side, myself on the wealth money side of things, right? Just being able to look at some of those areas that are the blind spots, right? And really being able to address those blind spots and seeing what we can do to be able to get us in the direction of the life that we would draw out on paper, right? And again, health, paying attention to these two areas is why we do the show, and it's why we're having the conversation. And so we want to be able to add value, right? We want to be able to add value. We talked about this also off camera, right? Starting to hear back from you guys and getting some engagement of the stuff that you're actually dealing with out there in these areas, right? In the areas of health, like what are you feeling? We started that kind of the conversation about like kind of living at that, middle level, not being great, right? To whatever standard that is for you. but that greatness of, I'm okay in my health. Well, how could it get better? Have you ever sat down and evaluated how could it get better? What are you feeling that you don't want to feel? Have you evaluated what needs to happen, and where's the disconnect, right? I think that's a lot of what we want to be able to talk about.
And question, piggybacking off of that, brother, is I think, and you tell me if you agree with this. I think a lot of people believe that an improvement in their health means that they're going to limit how they enjoy life, like their enjoyment of life,
Mm,
right? Or being more disciplined with their money means that they're going to enjoy life less. Do you
mm.
see that association being made?
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on that? Is it true or can it be something else?
Well, I 1,000% see that, and I'm glad you bring that up, because 1,000% I see that, and I know you see that on your side, right? Like, again, this is just the area that it's similar. Um, but obviously, we know the opposite, right? We know that by becoming more disciplined, so to speak, or having more clarity in an area, and applying the information you learn, that actually allows you to have more energy, have more freedoms, have more money, right? Like, have more abundance, right? It allows you to do it. It's kind of one of those things. You got to take a step back to take steps forward. You got to just be able to say, you know what, the discipline is a good thing in order for us to get to where we got to go. I'm sure that's what you see also, right?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think a lot of there's this guru on YouTube. I think starts with an S, the Sadat or something like that. But I listen to some of his talks periodically, and he talks about something that really struck a chord with me in terms of altering our senses and using substances to alter our senses. And one of the questions he asked is like, well, why would you want to do that when our experience of life is only through our senses? Right?
Mm,
Our experience of life is only through our senses, and having an acute sense or having being clear is the only way we can fully experience some of the things that life has to offer. Why would you want to be hazy? Why would you want to be X, Y, and Z? And I think that's an interesting one because I think most of us, probably myself included, in certain ways, would consider that to be a fun, right? It's fun to experience something like that. Um, but he presents it the other way, and I I think time and place, right? Time and
yeah.
place for a lot of for us that are not gurus, right? Time and place for us who are not gurus and living that type of life. But it also is an example of oh, it is possible. It's actually not true that to get rid of all those things means that there is no sense of enjoyment in life. Because you look at this dude seems to be having a lot of fun to me. All right,
Yeah.
got his big old beard, his outfit, and he's out here riding motorcycles. All
Right.
right, he
Right.
seems to be enjoying life quite a bit. So, is our what it means to enjoy life, is that also another one of the shoulds that we have adopted as a storyline, right?
Mm,
When you're enjoying yourself, you should have a beer. You should do this. You should do that. You should. Well, what if you pause and it's like maybe your sense of enjoyment is something totally different, you
that's
know?
it.
And then so that's to the question of I think we live a lot of shoulds, right? A lot of shoulds. Oh, I should have this job so that I can do this. Doesn't matter that it's unfulfilling or that I hate it or blah 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 blah. All right, but I should be doing that. It's fine.
Mm,
It's the way things should look or things should be. Or I should be doing better. I should be doing this right. And I think a lot of that leads to a deep sense of unfulfillment. Right, a deep sense of unfulfillment that we then have. Can you believe? I think I was reading this article. It was like the term like the idea of having anxiety,
mm,
right, is very new. is very new. And also, when you go to certain societies, it doesn't exist. That makes no sense. The concept makes no sense, right? So, so my question then is like, how? Why? If it's something that can be like it's just a scientific fact,
Right.
then why does it not exist in certain time and spaces? So, is it
Gotcha.
something to do with our environment or the way we're living?
It
That's
goes
a
back.
rhetorical question. Yes.
Listen, clearly, right? Goes back to my midlife crisis point. Like, there's certain things in our society that just are the way we're living. And I think, as you were talking, I agree 1,000% with everything you just said. And one of the things that it always takes my mind to in this like entrepreneurial living is just
Mm,
asking the question why, right? Just asking why, that childlike curiosity of like, well, why is it that way? Why do we have to do it that way?
mhm,
Why does it work like this? Right. And I think the more that we get to that place of asking the questions like why does it have to be that way, I think we can get better answers. Why do I have to have this job? Why does my right why do I have to go through my relationship this way? Why do I have to treat my money this way? Why do I have to invest in the stock market? Why do I have to use a 401k? Why? Right? Like, if you just start asking why a little bit more, I think it leads you to better answers. And then if you have the mindset or the resources to be able to then control your life and design your life where you don't have to, where you can get answers to some of those whys, and it's away from traditional society or traditionally what you're feeling, or what you're kind of working with or working on, and then you can start to find that fulfillment, because that's what we're in search of, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the good life maybe needs to be renamed the great life, but the great life comes when we find that fulfillment, that thing that we continues to feed us, right? If that makes sense, the thing that
yeah.
continues to feed us. And I think that's where we have to start to have our focus. Not just are we okay maintaining, but are we actually fulfilled in our lives?
Hmm. Hmm. And I appreciate you saying that. To your point about the why, I think that leads us to a wealth of information for ourselves. Two things. One, as we presented earlier, this is a process that I'll speak for myself first, and Chris, you can agree or disagree, that I'm going from good to great. Because where I am now is not where I want to stop. Right?
That's
Life is
right.
good, but if that child, if I think for myself, would have drawn more. It would have been more, right? And whether that is actually more in front of me or my interpretation of what is in front of me, that's a story for another day. But either way, it's more, right? If
Hmm.
whether or not I'm in, you experience it differently. That's still more, right? It may not be necessarily that I need to be a billionaire, but my experience of what I do have could also be different. So I think again another conversation, but it would be I'm in that process as well. So this show to me is a place to have these conversations, is a place to dig a little bit deeper, and to perhaps share some of the things that I found on the health side, learn some of the things you found on the wealth side, and also engage with the audience here, some of the things that maybe they want to explore with us, or some of the things they have found. Like, I want to know. Please share the knowledge, man. We're not, we're
Exactly.
here, we're here to receive as well. Shout out 88, right?
88
we're
receiver
he-
episode.
yeah, we're here to receive as well from you guys. So we would love to hear, Kai. Are you are you really really satisfied or deeply down? What, like, how do you really feel about your job? What would you change if you could really change anything? How do you feel about how you spend your time? When you look back on this year, did you spend it how you think you would? What is restricting you? What is holding you back? What is missing? The presence of which will really make like a big dramatic difference in your life, right? What on the health side, like what are you where you do you wake up every morning feeling the way you want to feel? on the money and finances side, like, are you moving in the direction you want to move in? Like, what is holding you back? If you could be real with yourself, have this conversation and it not go anywhere, what are some of the things and questions that you're sharing that like I want to dive into that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can also bring guests on here after I know episode 100. We could start bringing folks in here who could speak to some of those areas. I want to grow through this experience on this
Right.
podcast, on this visual audio podcast. Was it audio visual or visual audio?
Visual audio.
That's right. That's right. Hey, man, listen. You see it and you
We're
hear us.
growing. We're
Yeah,
growing.
exactly, exactly. But what do you think about that, man? And
Oh
again,
man.
appreciate your point about the why, because that's a
Yeah.
big point.
Yeah, I'm right there with you though. Like again, we're doing this to grow also. So it's all about getting to from good to great. Again, I believe that statement, the enemy of great is good, right? Or the enemy of good. No, we said it right. Yeah, the enemy of great is good. There
Yeah.
we go. Right? But again, that's what we're here to do. And that's what I want to continue to do. All those same things could be that you said, right? That we're bringing to the table that we want to see in this podcast, in this visual audio podcast, is exactly what I want. I want us to be able to grow. I want us to be able to have more information, bring in more information, bring in people that have information, and continue to give it to everyone so we can again elevate our life. Just like the podcast is going to elevate, our lives need to continue to elevate, and fulfillment is what we're after. So some of those questions that you asked, brother, are the key questions. I think that's a great place to kind of wrap it and let the listeners marinate and think on some of those questions and some of those things that they might be feeling until next week.
Yeah, I wish we had a phone number folks to call into or email or whatever. But what you can do is you can comment wherever you see this,
That's right.
right? You can comment, leave a comment on there, or message one of us. We do have our handles here at for me, it's the bottom left side of the screen. We do have that. Feel free to message any one of us. Will definitely see that, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Ooh, we're
Tik
everywhere.
TikTok.
TikTok,
Ooh.
or wherever, everywhere. And we want to connect with people, man. I think at the end of the day, that is one of the key. And we'll be outlining some stuff, definitely on the half side for sure. Some of the principles, the key principles, and one of them is community and connection. Through this, obviously, we're talking direct, but community and connection on this side, I think will be fantastic. With
Agreed.
that said, I'm gonna say I agree. With that said, man, we appreciate you guys joining us for another episode, the receiver episode 88. Shout out to the playmaker. If you ever see this, we'd love to have you on here. Like, we're dreaming big. Right? Michael Irvin, that's the name I was looking for.
There
Michael
we
Irvin,
go.
the playmaker.
There we go.
And until next time, we'll see you on another episode. Peace.
Later, guys.